That's Twisted.
This is Mark McNease with my co-host Rick Rose, and you're listening to another edition of The Twist. Welcome to The Twist podcast. This is Mark with my co-host, equal Rick. It's like, on the old TV shows where you would have Laverne and Shirley, whatever the actors' names are, you would have one on the bottom and one on the top so that it didn't seem like one was more important than the other. And you and I are like that. It's like my name might be first, but it's lower than yours. So we're equal partners in this venture.
Well, neither is top or bottom in our relationship.
Well, yeah, that's so binary. We were talking about that. Tops and bottoms are very, very binary.
I mean, we're talking about a lot of stuff. Mark,
I know, and things that we can't include on the show.
Well, no, I'm going to let people know how you punished me. I was enjoying my bulletproof coffee on the porch, but Mark said quality matters, and audio quality specifically matters.
You don't want to.
So he made me come in my house. Now, let me finish. I came in the house, and then Mark shamed me and said, "You don't like to be in your own home?"
Well, I was being ironic. No, I wasn't. That's not.
It was. I don't know what you were being.
That's not.
Funny.
Well, that's not how you use the word. But no, it just sounds so much better. There's no background hissy stuff.
You're right. I'm taking it for the team because who really matters is our audience of 4 that are listening today.
Well, no, but 400. No, but do you think I really like sitting here, like cooped up with my microphone on a little plastic thing and earphones? No, it's not. It's not comfortable. I'd rather be outside with nothing on, just shooting the shit. But
well, that's kind of what I was doing.
We have a podcast to do.
Yeah, we do. We have things to do. No, Mark, and I'm totally kidding you. I love it. I love that you are concerned about our show and building our audience. And we've got some good stories. A couple of mine have actually been contributed by some of our listeners, so I'm going to give shout outs to. For those listening for the first time, we just twist the news.
We're just all about having fun and chemistry. We were chemistry majors, you and I.
Yeah, chemistry of something.
We still are. And and then also, of course, I just want to say happy anniversary to my husband, Frank. We've been married for 5 years today. And we've been together for, you do forget these things. Like, I think we're going to be together for 12 years in December. Or maybe we were together for 12 years. Anyway, we got married 5 years ago today by Reverend Pat, my favorite queer pastor in the world, even though I don't go to that church anymore. But her name is on our marriage license, so that makes me very happy. Happy anniversary, Frank. He treated me to an amazing dinner at Marsha Brown. Check out my 5 Young review. My reviews are back. I'm like doing all this stuff now, Rick. I'm so creative, and it's because of you. Yeah. I'm doing my columns, my one thing or another columns, and I'm doing my reviews again. I reviewed Rainbow Mountain, and I'm doing my Yum reviews because they were very popular, by the way. We actually got comped at some restaurants because we got reactions from restaurants that I reviewed. That's not why you do it. I'm very ethical. But anyways, Marsha Brown Restaurant, New Hope, amazing meal. Thank you, Frank. Today I'm treating him to a facial while I get a Swedish massage in Flemington, and I just want to put that out there.
That is so cool. Well, that's cool. Yeah, and our bell takes us back on track.
Yeah, it means shut up, Mark. You're talking too much.
No, it doesn't, because you beat me. I was going to wish you a happy anniversary, and I did via text and stuff. Yeah. Also, happy anniversary to Dirty Dancing. It was released 31 years ago yesterday.
Oh, poor Patrick Swayze.
Yeah, boy, don't put Babe in the corner, Mark. Just don't put Trump in the corner.
No, by the way, I'm sure we're going to touch on that because that was some big ass news yesterday. Like,
he sure acts like it is, and he's in West Virginia or wherever campaigning or whatever he's doing, and he's like, "Oh yeah, this isn't about me. This is about these 2 men." Well, here's the deal: you tell everybody how you hire these smart people and how you all this stuff and brag, and then you look back at all the people you've been with, not just them, but Representative Chris Collins from New York, who was the first congressman to endorse Trump's campaign and was on his transition team. He was charged with lying to the FBI and insider trading. We forget about Michael Flynn. Way back, Trump's first national security advisor and campaign trail confidant, again pleaded guilty to lying to the FBI. Another congressman, Republican Duncan Hunter of California, he was indicted on spending campaign money on personal expenses, and he was the second congressman to endorse him. So, and then the 2 yesterday, of course.
Yeah, they're all crooked and horrible. And the most important, significant thing is that Cohen said Trump directed him to commit this crime. It's a felony. It's a crime.
Yeah.
But what his supporters do at this route, first of all, Fox News keeps talking, like playing puppy videos. They just won't cover this in any objective way. So I've written them off. And I've written his supporters off. I mean, the diehard ones. Right. Because he's in some rally in Virginia. and he mentions this is the day that it was made public that this man committed a felony, and his people are like shouting "lock her up" to Hillary Clinton. I'm fucking telling you, you gotta just cut them loose, man. They're like a tumor, they're like a bad thing, and you just gotta cut that shit out and let it float away. Because I am devoted to the truth and to facts and to returning this country to a shared sense of objectivity, because truth is objected. It is not, like Giuliani said, truth isn't truth. Bullshit, man. We're going to turn this around.
I know, it's crazy. And that's probably all we have to say about it. Big news, though, yesterday.
Yeah, really. I mean, we got so many other fun stuff.
Yeah, we do. Well, I got to say, where do I want to start?
Yeah, go for it. You lead us in.
Well, I want to just start by saying Madison. Thoughts up from Madison. We have an east side and a west side. And the west side, of course, was flash flooded, made national news. We had, it was horrible. People were trapped in the Ruth Chris Steakhouse. 50
oh my God!
People,
okay. Wow.
No, this is true. They had to sleep on the booths. 100 people were trapped in the Costco in Middleton. Middleton's still underwater. Horrible situation over there. 100 people trapped while all the food and stuff at Costco was floating throughout. It's just bad. And then thoughts out, this hurricane level 5, Hurricane Lane, headed toward the big island in Hawaii coming up, Mark. It's fierce weather going on. You didn't hear about that?
No, it's just been crazy everywhere. Like everywhere. Yeah, we had floods here. And I have a question. I know this is a very serious topic, but does anybody call Madison Madtown? Is that a nickname for Madison?
They do, but they usually call Mad City. So I've heard both Mad City and Madtown.
I just thought it just popped into my head. It'd be a great nickname for a place like that.
Yeah, I like it. I think it's good. Speaking of which, here's my first twisted story. It comes from Anna Cole. Shout out. I told you. Listener of the show, Anna Cole. I don't think she's ever listened to it, but I told her she's going to start because I'm shouting out to her today.
Well, don't break the fourth wall. I mean, let people believe things.
Suspend the disbelief. That's right.
Fake podcast, man. That's us.
That's exactly it. Well, she found this story. I said, got to use it because Mark always loves when I work these stories in. Are you ready, Mark? You get
somebody got eaten alive by insects. Go ahead.
Well, kind of like that. This happened in Brittingham Park, which is on the west side, West Washington Ave in Madison. Man cuts off his tongue by biting it.
Oh, my God.
And the police find it in the park and sew it back on. Yeah, he showed up to a police station, said, he probably said something like this. Like that. And they went to the park and they found his other half.
But was he mentally disturbed? Do you know?
Well, they said he wasn't right.
Well, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But they put him right. I mean, why would you sew a tongue back onto somebody who bites their tongue off?
It's going to be weird. Come right back up. Well, they didn't use police dogs to help find it, by the way. That was an important part of this story. There were none available to help in the search. So, old school.
Old school. My first one is happy stuff. Christine Hallquist was the first transgender. Miss Hallquist, a Vermont Democrat, made history Tuesday night. This is from August 15th, actually, by becoming the first transgender nominee for governor from either party. And so, there's gloom and there's doom. And then there's like days like yesterday when all these indictments and pleas came down. And I was like, I had a spring in my step. I was super happy. And I'm happy that that Christine is, is nominated. She's going to be on the ballot for governor.
That's awesome. From Vermont, one of the progressive states out there for sure, trend-setting. I'm glad you were lighting your loafers again, Mark. It's good to be proud.
And that's one of my favorite terms.
I did too. Ding! Speaking of pride and being lighting your loafers, I told you this, Mark, and I've got a lot of stories originating from Madison. I boycotted. We do our pride, not in June like most states do, or most cities or countries or whatever. We do it in August here in Madison. I boycotted because they wouldn't let police march.
Yeah, I had a feeling that's what it was.
Yeah, I told you I'd kind of tell you on the show because we hadn't had a chance to catch up this week. You were busy frying chicken and everything at work,
Well, that's what I do. I like it, but go ahead. As long as it's not undercooked. There's a whole story of that, but go ahead.
Oh, I can't imagine. I used to have, when I ran restaurants, I used to have chicken returned all the time because it wasn't cooked well enough, and people freak out.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, we didn't fry it, but same idea. Anyway, so long and short of the guy that's been running this with the group, they had a listening committee and brought police to the table, brought back Black Lives Matter to the table, which I don't understand. And they said, what do we want out of it? Black Lives Matters at the table basically said, well, we don't want police to march. So the police bowed out. And because the police bowed out, they kind of boycotted the event. And so did I. I have a lot of lesbian and gay police officer friends here in Madison already in the short time that I've lived here. And, this happened in Edmonton at the Pride Parade this year up in Canada. I don't know if you saw it, but these protesters came. That. Yeah, blocked the parade for a half hour. And the result is, oh, no police next year. This year, they allowed the police to walk in plain clothing. But I do want to say, when I've been looking about the history of this and making an informed decision, they do say that a lot of the reasons we don't invite police to the parades is because most of the Pride parades and Pride events started in protest of police who were blocking our situations like at Stonewall and stuff. So I don't know. I think it's wrong. I think police should march if they feel it. And because of that, the fire department didn't march, and just ripple effect. Sad.
Yeah, I'm totally with you on this, and I don't care if it makes me an anachronism in the gender fluid, non-binary world we're living in. I don't. I support the police. I was kind of treated crappily by a cop when I was 20, when I first moved to LA, and he said something to me that was very homophobic, but the police are not the enemy, and I'm just not into exclusion. I'm not into exclusion. That's like the Boston, the New York City St. Patrick's Day parade wouldn't let gay people in for years and years and years, and even now it's very sort of conditional. I'm just not into that at all. If we have gay police officers, it was a struggle just to have queer police officers. I mean, that took a long, long time. And it's still very brave of them to come out in the police force. So I think it's bullshit. I don't support it at all. I'm with you.
Well, and one comment in this case, too, the police are usually protecting the parade, and the police are also, like you said, units in cities that are taught to deal with our issues. So, yeah, sad.
Why make enemies? Do we really need to be making enemies in this day and age? To me, it makes enemies to tell the police, you're not welcome here. It's bullshit.
Agreed.
Arkansas Satanic Temple delivers statue to the Capitol in battle over Ten Commandments monument. It's just a props to the Satanic Temple in Little Rock. They held a rally because the whole thing about church and state. If you're going to have 10 commandments or you're going to have religious statues in the public sphere, then they want a Satanic Temple statue, and I'm totally support that. A Buddhist too. Give me a Buddhist statue and a secular statue. I think it's great.
I'm looking at my big Buddhist statue in my house right now. I'm not mocking. I'm
looking at my Buddha belly. I got a Buddha belly.
I got a little Buddha belly, but I've been doing. Well, work on it. Working the other way. Yeah.
Do it.
Keto, baby. Keto.
I played that, man. I never went on that shit ever.
I came, up here after working in an aquarium, opening an aquarium down in Shreveport, where I opened the restaurant called Salt, where we get the chicken and got in trouble for. Yeah, I saw that. Anyway, but so I love this story. It comes from San Antonio, one of my favorite other cities. San Antonio Aquarium. Thieves snatched a shark from the aquarium. They wheeled it out in a baby carriage, and they have it on video. These 3 people came up to the petting area where the baby shark was, petted the shark, put the shark in. I
saw that. That was really fucked up.
They had all planned, and they went into a maintenance closet, put the thing in a bleach thing, washed out a bleach pan or whatever, put it in there, put it in the little tram, as I call them, or pram, or whatever they got called, little carriage, wheeled it out to the car. But they said when the police found it, because they found the car, went to the house, they said that the guy had this mini aquarium set up in his house that was every bit as good as the San Antonio Aquarium. So even though they were worried about the shark, it came back totally fine because it was being cared for in the short time it was away and held hostage.
Well, that's
weird.
That's a little bit of comfort, but it's horrible that they would do that.
Yes.
Kevin Spacey's new movie, Kevin the pedophile.
Oh, yes.
Can I say that? Do I say alleged pedophile? I have to say alleged. But anyways, his new movie, Billionaire Boys Club, made $126 on opening day. So, that's justice. Now, I'm going to say this real quick. I have friends on Facebook, and I posted that because I thought that's pretty fitting. And she said, doesn't he belong behind bars? Now, I truly believe in due process. I absolutely believe in it. Hillary, I can't stand it when they chant shit like lock them up, like Hillary Clinton should just be taken away in handcuffs with no trial, no accusations, no nothing. So I don't play that. I just really don't do that. So Kevin Spacey, whatever he may or may not have done, if he's going to end up behind bars for it, he needs a trial. He needs due process. So you will never see me saying, doesn't this person or that person belong behind bars? I think Trump ought to someday be, behind bars, but after he's tried and convicted and not before.
Yeah. And it will happen. I was talking to friends over for dinner last night. I said, we will see a president in prison, no doubt. One of those friends that was over last night was my cousin. He's sitting here having breakfast right now, cold pizza or something.
Oh my God, he's in there. He's in the room. He hears me. Can he hear me?
Yeah, he came in. He can't hear you, but he can hear me.
All
it's
right. It's like here, Frank can't hear you, and he hears the people think I'm talking to myself.
He does. But he's right over there, and I see him right now. Say hi to Mark McNease.
Hi, Mark.
Hey, you can't hear me, but hi.
I can sort of hear you in his ear, but that's about it.
Okay.
Yes. All right. Anyway, it's hard. I told him to talk in the mic, but he didn't have the earbuds in, is what he was telling me.
That's okay.
So I couldn't hear you. Anyway, he's a nurse down in Fort Myers, so shout out to all nurses. Here's a cool story coming out of the nurses.
Frank has a nurse.
Well, they so I can't. Anyway, out of the Banner Desert Medical Center in Mesa, which is just 20 miles out of Phoenix, they're having a baby boom with the nurses. 16 nurses are preparing to give birth over the next month.
That. That's crazy.
That's so weird.
That's like demonic or something.
No, it's cool. I think
that's weird.
No, I just think it happens.
What spirit is impregnating all these women at the same time? Is it one man?
No, that's our friend that we had on the show. Remember him? He was on a roll. Anyway.
Scientists just discovered that spiders can fly using electricity. Wow. This is some new creepy stuff. Spiders are pretty smart, and they figured out that they can use electricity waves to fly. Mm-hmm. So I haven't seen any in this house, but watch out for them.
Speaking of flying, big holiday over in Pakistan, Eid, which is like their Thanksgiving. And in preparation for it, they get animals ready to slaughter. That's part of what they do. But this guy had been raising his cattle on his rooftop for 15 years in preparation for, a future Eid. Well, they were too big to come down the stairs. He usually walked them down a 4-story home. So they had to fly them through the air, Mark. They had to set up a hoist, get them all down. So for a while, you're in Karachi and you're watching these cows, one by one, being removed from the roof of a house down to the ground, only to go to slaughter. Poor things.
Sad. #sad. I only got one more, and then I got like two topic-y things I want to do. Winona Ryder says she's been married to Keanu Reeves for 25 years. Did you see that?
Yeah.
They got married on the set of Dracula, the Francis Ford Coppola movie, which I did like quite a bit. But, during one of the scenes, there was her and Keanu in character getting married by a Romanian priest or whatever. And so, I don't know, she had to be joking. This was during an interview where she's sitting next to Keanu Reeves. And she says, she thinks they've actually been married all this time because of that. I mean, it's ridiculous, but I just picked it out. I thought it was an interesting little thing.
Well, no, it's a good headline, of course, and it's fake news. It's all fake news, Mark. But I think she was joking, but, Winona's had her shit going on.
Oh, yeah, she's kind of, interestingly... we can't say stuff like head case. It's just really offensive to the mental health community. But she's got some odd ideas, this chick. At least she doesn't shoplift anymore, I don't think.
No, she's got a successful TV show, on Netflix.
But how do you know, if someone is a shoplifter and they're successful, how do you know they're a shoplifter?
Dang. My tongue is somewhere. We don't talk that way. At the age of 60, Snoop Dogg would be, I love this headline.
Is
At
he
the age 60? Of 60, he's 60.
No, he
so
can't
Snoop
be
Dogg
60.
He'll be 420 in dog years. I just love that, 420.
I do like that.
Snoop Dogg. Yeah, I like it. That's just a little headline.
Although dog years is 7-1, so he wouldn't be 4. Well, I see. 60 human would be 420 dogs.
Oh, geez, Mark. Yeah, so here's one. Another thing about animals in Idaho, in Boise, sun came up and all these goats were in people's yards, like hundreds and hundreds of goats, and they were eating and grunting, and they were a little hungry, and people were like, what the hell's going on? Well, it turns out that they had escaped. There's a company actually called We Rent Goats. Look into it. You might have one in Jersey where people can use goats. I know, it's a great company. We Rent Goats, and they rent goats to come to your yard. Well, they were doing a facility up the road, and these goats, broke their way to freedom, ended up dispersing themselves all across Boise. So there were goats that had to be herded.
Have you ever dispersed yourself?
I don't know how to disperse myself.
Well, you said that a goat's disperse. It just was, my mind's always working really fast, and I heard you say disperse themselves, and I thought,
I think you have to be plural to disperse. I don't know. I've never tried it, Mark.
No, I got two things. I don't know how many more you have left, but they're both kind of topic-y things.
Well, I could just keep on going. So you know me, I'll stop when you tell me. But you go, girl.
Well, I got one, then you do one, then I got my big topic.
I got a bigger topic.
Well, that's debatable. We'd have to compare topics.
Oh, jeez.
No, this I just saw this morning. It was on Twitter. I'm not a big Twitter person at all, although I have obsessively been following Big Brother 20 on Twitter because Frank isn't into the season. And honestly, they take an hour to get to the point of something. So sometimes I'll record it and then just speed through to see who gets evicted. And I'm losing interest because I can't stand the people that are being left in the house. But I do follow it on Twitter every day. It's like an obsession. But I was on Twitter this morning and I saw this tweet that went viral. Actually, it was somebody put it on Facebook. A friend of mine in L.A., Lori Windorf. You know Lori, Sal's
Yes. And
anyway, she put this tweet on Facebook because she thought it was awesome, but it made me think, and I responded on Twitter. I did not respond on Facebook because I do not need anybody else accusing me of mansplaining or any of this crap. So there's some woman named Amy Fowler. I don't know who she is. Maybe she's a travel writer. I don't know, but it's her Twitter handle is Amy Abroad. Anyway, she wrote this like a couple days ago. Quote, doing my makeup on the train this morning, and a random man told me he likes women to have a more natural look. I told him I like men to have a more silent look. So, of course, this has been like viral and very popular and all this other stuff. But what I picked up on wasn't her interaction with this man. It's that she's doing her fucking makeup on the train. So I tweeted back at her and I said, the more I floss my teeth and clip my nose hairs on the train, the more I appreciate this. Who doesn't like public grooming? And this is just one of my like little topic things. I really don't like it when women put makeup on the train or on the bus or in the taxi in public. To me, it's grooming. You do that shit in your bathroom. I don't take a thing of dental floss with me in my pocket and floss my teeth on the train, and I don't see any difference. Now, a lot of women would absolutely shred me for saying this, and I don't know if you have an opinion on this, but I don't like it. It's like, don't put your makeup on the subway train, please, and then like have this clever tweet reaction because some man makes a comment to you. I just don't think it belongs in public. I never have. I've never liked it.
I just think it's funny.
No, but maybe you don't even see that because you don't ride a train. You don't ride subway.
I've seen it on airplanes.
I've seen it on cars. I've seen women driving cars doing their eyelashes. Like,
no, my big one is like nail clipping when men and women are nail clipping on an airplane or next to you at work.
That I used to have to go. That's disgusting.
Oh my God! I hear this click, 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 and I look out at a desk and this guy's clipping his nails at my last job. Had to go into his boss and say, "That's got to stop, dude."
Right.
Not appropriate.
But anyway, to all the makeup people there, whatever gender you may be, please consider doing that before you leave the house because it's public grooming. However, you may not think it, but it is. And if you can do that, then I'm gonna fucking refresh my balls and put some powder on my scrotum
stop. Ding,
while I'm on the subway.
Help.
How's that?
Here, help. Oh my God.
It's true. It pissed me off. Because nobody seemed to pick up on that. They were all about what she said to the man, and isn't that a clever put down and all this other crap. So
Mark. Okay, we good?
Go for it. We're done. I know I overdid it. I'm sorry.
Georgian boy solves 6 Rubik's Cubes underwater in one breath, sets a new world record. 18-year-old student from Georgia, the country, solved 6 Rubik's Cubes underwater in one breath on Friday to set a new Guinness World Record. And it was cool. They put him in this cube. He was in there for what did they say? Minute and a half or something. It was a certain amount of time. And the last record was actually out of New Jersey, believe it or not, where the guy did 5 Rubik's Cubes.
Wow.
But this guy did 6. That's pretty substantial. He's been practicing every day for a long,
I'm going to start practicing. That's for sure.
It's kind of weird. I can't miss this story either. It's a little old. It happened about a week and a half ago, but it's so disturbing in many ways. It happened in a park, too, in New Haven. What was that all about, Mark? Nearly 100 overdoses in 36 hours from K2 synthetic marijuana.
Yeah,
wasn't that a weird story?
It is, but it's also really sad. I mean, what's going on? Like, what's going on? Are we just... And I've said before, though, that I think with the whole opioid thing, now it's a national crisis and a tragedy. But when crack was destroying Black lives, we just threw him in prison. Nobody cared, and I think it's fucked up. But
yeah, that was really a sad story, and a lot of it came from one guy who had been, dealing it or whatever,
right.
and knowingly doing that, and it is sad. I mean, anyway, I sit on the opioid commission here, and we're just trying to deal with the issue in Dane County. It's just horrible. Anyway, shout out to my friend Sky, by the way. Just got to shout out to her. She brought me onto this group, and she's real active in that community, helping people and caring for people. And we get her to be a listener of the show. She loves podcasts, Mark, and I'm shouting out to her too, by the way, because I turned her on to you and your books. And she's reading Murder at the Paisley Hotel or whatever.
Murder at the Paisley Parrot, which, by the way, has done really well. I did a BookBub featured ad thing. I got selected for it, and it really helped. I got a bunch of new reviews, and
awesome.
Yeah, and lots of people are reading it for free. If you have Kindle Unlimited, you can read it for free, and so thousands.
Oh, I bet she is, because she's got Kindle, but she's going to work through all your books. She's very excited.
She should, and ask her to review them, especially the new one. I need more reviews on Black Cat White Paws, which is fabulous. Everybody loves it.
Well, she's listening to the show now. Right this minute.
Holly Palance rhymes with balance.
Just
doing the audiobook.
Nice.
This is my last topic, because we always, we got to look at the time too. But it's just Omarosa. Now, I have mixed feelings about Omarosa. I know she's evil, in relatively, however you define evil. And a lot of people can't stand her, but I have just been so entertained for the last 2 weeks.
I love her.
I think she's an evil genius, man. Thank God she's kept that little recorder in her pocket. However she was recording these people, I don't know, but I think it's fabulous. And because I think maybe I said this the last time, I certainly said it off the podcast. Omarosa and Donald Trump deserve each other. She is the perfect. She's like, you got a snake bite and you counteract it. The antidote is a worse snake bite. Like I know that what she's doing is unethical, but she's doing it to an administration and a president who have thrown ethics out the window. They strangled it into the bathtub, and Donald Trump is the most unethical, corrupt president we will probably ever have. And I just think it's great what she's done, and it's very entertaining. And I'm just, that was one of my big topics. I think it's genius, and it's all part of what we're watching, which I think is the implosion of this administration. But we got to be careful, because the more that Donald Trump is cornered and the more the Republicans refuse to hold him accountable in any possible way, even when he's implicated in a felony, the more dangerous he is, because this man is nuts. He tweets out vicious shit, and don't put it past him to drop a bomb somewhere because he wants to change the subject. But Omarosa, that's just it. My topic was props to Omarosa. And then I got a quote here, because we do these with quotes. This is actually from an op-ed in the Washington Post, the ultimate fake news. Eugene Robinson, who I really like, he's a black guy. He's a commentator. I like him a lot. He did a whole thing about Rudy Giuliani last week, saying truth is truth. Facts aren't real, news is fake. And this is just my quote, and it just goes into the whole package of stuff. He said, quote, "Constant, relentless, shameless lying is not ancillary to the Trump administration. It is not a sideshow. It's the main event. We have become inured to the fact that the President of the United States and his aides and associates simply cannot be relied upon to tell the truth." And to me, that's as true a statement as we could have in these perilous times. That's it.
That is a good quote. No, I like it. And it is the truth. The truth, I always say the truth shall set us free. I go back to Christian, key tenet of my Christian faith. And I do believe the truth shall set us free. I think 45 is bye-bye.
Let's hope so. Although I'm not I'm not in favor of impeachment. I'm in favor of containment, and then get rid of him in 2020, and then put him in jail, and then charge him.
And it'll be interesting. We'll see what happens with midterms, because that's going to have a big part to play out here. But shout out to my friend Evelyn Graham. She just wrote me a little private message, and she'll be listening to the show too. And she's I love my friends that are like from all spectrums of the world. And she's Costa Rican, 76 years old, and she can't stand Trump. I just love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Here's what she just said. He's a vile slime ball with absolutely no morals or conscience. Oops,
Is she listening? Is she listening to us while we record?
She said, sick. I don't know. Maybe she is. She says he thought he was above the law. Wrong. She said, we waited 2 years for this. Isn't that the truth? Boop. Boop. That'll be a big day.
Bing, bing, bing.
Okay. So I want to talk, my final thoughts, and it's going to have a quote here too, Mark, is about the movie Crazy Rich Asians. And how, you talk, it's the antithesis of what happened to Mr. Spacey this weekend. This movie came out, made $25 million in opening weekend, $30 million from the time it opened. It cost $30 million to make. So we're not talking about the small little indie film that kind of snuck in. We're talking about a film with Asian storylines, with Asian actors, and how it's making this big statement by the money it's making. And is this an anomaly, or is this something that's going to continue to trend? Are we going to see more of this, like the movie Get Out or the movie Black Panthers with the black community? Is this happening now with the Asian community? Is there a need for it? Well, I have not a need for it, but is this a trend, or is this something that is going to, go away or stay? Well, here's the deal. I don't get it. I saw the movie yesterday. Good movie. I see why it's done what it's done. There's a huge Asian community. They came out and supported it. They were a big part, these big movie houses in Asian communities where thousands of people came out to support the movie. Rightly so, not just to support it, but to enjoy it. But then there was also this thing, this community. So the last big Asian movie was Joy Luck Club, which you and I both remember from 25 years ago.
I remember the book. I saw the book.
Well,
I read the book.
Well, the movie's brilliant. If you haven't seen it, I really love the movie. I love it way better than this movie because I like drama better than comedy. But the director of that movie has gone out and started a movement, was invited by a new multicultural marketing initiative team at Warner Brothers to get behind the movie and decide how to market it before it came out. Also started a movement to help push this into Oscar Gold. And it'll be interesting to see because, as you know, I don't think we talked about in the show, but the Oscars this year are going to have a most popular Oscar going out because they're trying to attract that audience. Anyway, so I think this is all part of the movement. The press is kind of getting behind it. We may see this as the first movie to win an Oscar, and I'll be like, whoa, an Asian movie. You know what, Mark? Story is story. And I don't get it. I'm a little this way, and that's where I'm lead. Mark and I are working on a project together that's lead character is a Chinese trans man. It's a freaking podcast. And I've had so many people come to me and say, first of all, you got to cast trans. You can't cast cis in the role. Got it. Mark, you and I talked about it. Yeah. Totally get it. It's a sensitive thing. All this stuff with Scarlett Johansson and stuff. And then I got to thinking, well, it's a podcast. You and I have talked about it. What's happened when I was trained in theater, this was years ago, 30 years ago, we had this thing called colorblind casting. And even with the Asian thing that was on Broadway, Miss Helicopter, Miss Saigon with the big helicopter on stage, they cast a white man in an Asian role. I've seen black people cast in white roles. So I guess I'm just a little confused. And when you look at, it's very interesting because in this movie, it takes place in Singapore, but the guy that did the casting for it, the director, actually posted a video and said, I think it was a video story. He said, send me a 2-minute clip of yourself. I don't care who you are. If you're Asian, send it. I'm going to cast a very unique, interesting cast from those people. So I don't know. It's just kind of across the board there, Mark, just some comments. And I guess I don't get it. It's like story is story. People are people. Let it be. But I do know that, just to wrap this up, that I think we're on track with the project we're working on. I don't want to give too much away because I think we're seeing a lot with China. China was always that sleeping dog, and that's where my quote comes from. And it's a great quote, and I think it's used at the beginning of this movie, by the way, and that's why I like the quote. And the quote says, it actually comes from Napoleon Bonaparte. China is a sleeping giant. Let her sleep, for when she wakes, she will move the world. Interesting.
That's your quote?
That's my quote. Just unique, different. Yeah.
Well, I like it. And the podcast thing, since you brought that up and we're developing this together, I agree with you. And the more, because this goes back to at least a few years ago where, the trans community would get really upset that a trans person wasn't cast in the Dallas Buyers Club, as the lead, as Jared Leto got. And the reality is, first of all, you got to get somebody to pay for a movie. And maybe that will change. I hope it does. But also the other thing is, as you have discovered, there's not a lot of trans male Chinese actors out there, who are available and don't cost anything to do this podcast. And, It's not film. If we were making a TV show, I would absolutely say, listen, we got to. Of course, we would have money, wouldn't we? We would have money to bring some. We would have money to fly somebody in. But it's not a TV show. I would never cast at this point a cisgender white guy as a trans Asian Chinese man. I wouldn't do that. But it's a podcast. Right. It's like an audiobook. I've done 8 audiobooks. When you get a narrator to do your audiobook, you might have all kinds of characters in the book, and the narrator fucking does them. It doesn't matter. I might have a blind character. What the narrator's got to stop, and we got to bring in a blind person to read it. It's audio, and if you use your imagination, if you can't use your imagination enough and let go of this whole identity politics shit enough to enjoy a podcast and not get caught up thinking, oh, the person reading this is cisgender. Oh my gosh, that's really wrong. They're appropriating us. We just have gone in the wrong direction. We really have. So anyways, that's my
and that's why. Well, and I look at it that way too. It's like, theater is, like you said earlier about the show, suspend your disbelief, and that's what the podcast journey is. I will say one comment. What's unique about it, though, Mark, is when Mark and I started this project. I won't go off on it, folks, but you are going to be the ones we migrate to this podcast when we launch it. We decided we wanted to create a podcast. We did it in collaboration with our friend Linda Carey. When we were all like, oh, let's create something that uses an L character, a G character, a B character, a T character, a Q character, an asexual character. And we went the whole gamut. And so it's kind of an interesting thing, working within the community and working with the community to hear their perspectives on it, because I did offer this to a transgender male friend of mine. And he said, nope, I'm not Chinese. I'm not going to do it. And then his friend, who identifies as non-binary, who's a friend of both Mark and I, is like, no, Mark's got to consider rewriting the role and make it a Russian immigrant. Or it's like, no, doesn't change the story. We want to tell a story about China and the immersion of China in the Western world, so anyway, enough of that.
That's interesting. I didn't know that. I thought it was, it's a murder mystery. It's just a murder mystery. It's a fun murder mystery. And the main character is Chinese American. Like, what the fuck, let go.
That all happened while you were on your Rainbow Mountain vacation, and I wasn't going to disturb you, but I was challenged with casting it. So love you, mean it, Mark. That's it. That's my story. Thanks, guys, for listening to me.
Okay, we'll be back, and then we're going on a cruise in 2 weeks. We'll be off the air for 2, possibly 3 weeks because we're going on a cruise.
That's fantastic, Mark.
I told you too with the podcast. We're just going to have the credits read in Mandarin, and then nobody's going to know.
Bye.
Bye,
everybody. Love you, mean it. Bye.